What's up, gamers? How's it going? How's it hanging? What's happening? What's the good word? How you been? I'm Koobs. You clicked on this video. I want to say thank you. It's Sunday. At least, well, it's sort of Sunday. It's Sunday when I'm recording this, and it's Sunday when I recorded these invasion clips, but it might not be Sunday for you right now as you're watching this. So, what are you gonna do about that? I got nothing, but I do know one thing. We're playing bingo. That's right. And you're probably saying to yourself, Koobs, how do you play bingo in Elden Ring? Is this some sort of new downloadable content they just recently added to the game? And I would say no, that's not it at all, actually. What the heck am I talking about? So I was invading on a Sunday evening like I like to do, just chilling out, getting a couple of hours of invasions in, and decided that, hey, I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna use a different weapon for each invasion. Once I finish an invasion, I'm gonna switch my weapon, just so that I can get some experience using these different weapons that I have on these characters of mine. So this character that we're seeing on screen, and who's gonna be invading with us throughout this journey together, is Sentinel Squire. Sentinel Squire's he's just trying his best, That's all that any of us can do, is just try our best. And that's what Sentinel Squire goes out and he does. He just is always trying to get better because he wants to be a true tree sentinel. And so I've got all these weapons on this character, and a lot of times I just default to my Lordshorn Straight Sword, or I'll default to the Guardian Tree Spear. I'll default to something that I know that I love and that I know how to use well. And I said, I got all these other weapons, so why the heck not get them involved and let them, get a little bit of love, bring them to the party. And so it started out as me just, cycling through these weapons, and then I was like, hey, you know what? I could do something fun with this. I could do like an invasion bingo. And I could once I win an invasion with a particular weapon, then I could, I've got that square unlocked, and then I've got to use the other weapons in order to get a bingo. You know how bingo works, So that's what it turned into, and I had a lot of fun with it. It was a fun proof of concept for myself, if you will. And definitely looking forward to doing some bingo again with some different invaders and some different weapons, and maybe kind of further fleshing out the idea. And yeah, just having some fun, enjoying myself, playing some Elden Ring like I like to do. So thanks again for being here. Thanks for clicking on the video. I appreciate you. You're awesome. You matter. And this video, we're going to be talking a little bit about trying new things. Who knew? We're going to try something new, and we're going to talk about trying something new. So, did you know there's 308 weapons in Elden Ring? Did you know that? That's a crazy number. That's more than 300. It's 308. And I heard that, and I was like, that's absolute insanity. I don't think that I've used all 308 weapons. And so that's something that maybe I'll put that on my to-do list, is to try out every weapon, because there might be something out there that I haven't tried yet, but that I really enjoy, and I would never know unless I took a moment to try it. So I guess with that in mind, the first thing I'd like to say is go out and try something new. And maybe you try something new in Elden Ring, but maybe you try something new in your personal life, out in the real world. Who knows? You might find something that you really love, that you really enjoy, and that you didn't know that you were missing out on, So now I've got all these weapons that I can go out and try, and Another thing I want to say is if you're somebody who just, you play Elden Ring and maybe you invade, or maybe you just like to play, play through the game with your friends, but you use the same weapon all the time, mix it up a little bit. Try something new, because your favorite weapon might still be out there, and you haven't even met it yet. You haven't even taken it on a date yet. You guys haven't even exchanged phone numbers yet. There's so many things that you could learn about that favorite weapon of yours that's still out there. It's just waiting for you. It's waiting for you. It's been waiting this whole time, and you just keep using the same old Moonveil or Rivers of Blood or whatever else other overpowered weapon that gamers like to. The Great Sword. Do you like the Great Sword? Maybe there's another Great Sword out there for you. And look at that. That was interesting. He jumped right into the volcano. And so, let's see. Did I kill him with the Lordsworn Straight Sword? No, not specifically. Not entirely. But I did that whole invasion with the Lordsworn Straight Sword. So, we're going to cross it off the list. And here we've got our bingo sheet. You can see some of the weapons. And we'll come back to that after each invasion if we were lucky enough to win an invasion. And so I didn't do very much to change up the positions of these weapons or the Ash of War that are on these weapons. I'm just working with what I had, And so that's something that, like, in the future, if I do another sort of invasion bingo, I think another element that might be nice to kind of add to the mix would be like randomizing where the weapons are placed in my bingo sheet, quote unquote. And also like randomizing the Ash of War that goes on each of those weapons, so that it's not so much like, oh, I know that I like this weapon and that I could do well with this weapon, so I'm going to use that because I think I could get that bingo square. It would just be more of like, okay, don't know what's what, where anything is, and just really kind of having some fun with it. So highly recommend you go out there, try something new like this as well. Sometimes, I love Elden Ring, and I'll continue playing this game likely for years to come, but it's been out for a little over 18 months at this point. So, I mean, nobody's blaming you if you feel like things have gotten a little bit stale, if you feel like things have gotten a little bit repetitive. I find that most invasions are wholly unique in the experience that they offer. It's like no two invasions are identical, but with that in mind, it's still it's not like somebody is you know what I'm saying here. Do you know what I'm saying? I feel like you know what I'm saying. I feel like you got a look on your face that's like, you're like, yeah, I get you, Koobs, and you might even be nodding along right now. I feel like that's what's going on. Like, we've got this understanding between the two of us, you and I. And so you get it. You get me. And I appreciate that you get me. That's one of the things that I really like about you, is that you just always seem to get me. So, trying something new. I have got a bit of a sweet tooth, I love the sweets, candy and chocolate and ice cream and all that sort of sugary goodness. Like if sugar was a person, the two of us would probably have a very toxic and unhealthy relationship. I would probably let them do things to me that I shouldn't. You know what I'm saying? And so with that in mind, it's like I took probably 10 or 11 years of not drinking any soda. Some people call soda pop. I'm from the Midwest, so I hear pop a lot. I like to call it soda because I'm not basic. I like to say different things. A lot of people say God bless you when somebody sneezes, and I like to say Gesundheit. Do you know Gesundheit it's German, and it means good health. And I learned that when I was in, probably 12th grade. And ever since then, I've been using that instead of God bless you. My science teacher said, God doesn't belong in the science classroom. And I said, wow, that's pretty interesting. And so started saying Gesundheit because that's just a little bit about me. But so around that time when I was graduating high school, I was like, you know what, I'm going to stop drinking soda. and so I cut it out of my life for a good 10, 11, maybe even 12 years. But recently, maybe in the last year or so, I've been drinking soda again. And God, this stuff is so good. Like, it was Dr. Pepper, strawberries and cream, and I was just like, I would easily one a day, sometimes two. I'm almost ashamed to say that. I'd drink 2 sodas in one day. I had no self-control. And so I've got to start, I got to start coming off of it. You know what I mean? It's not very good for me. And so with that in mind, it's like, what can I find as like an alternative? And so, baby steps sometimes. So stop drinking like the dark sodas and maybe start drinking like, something like a Sprite, something along those lines. Maybe you feel a little bit better about it because it's a little bit lighter and it doesn't seem like it's going to rot your teeth as much. But what I've found recently, and I'm going to shout out to the grocery chain Aldi Foods. If you got one in your area, highly recommend go checking them out because they're just great stuff there. Great deals, good prices. Couldn't be happier to be shopping at a place like Aldi, especially when all the other grocery stores seem to have raised their prices recently. I still feel like I can go to Aldi Foods and I can get like some reasonable prices on the things that I'm purchasing, and I don't feel like I'm getting robbed. So that's kind of nice. So if you're somebody like me and you find yourself feeling upset when you leave the grocery store, if you got a local Aldi food, I would go check that place out. But so what I've found is they've got this, it's sparkling water. It's key lime flavored sparkling water. And it's like 69 cents, the good number, and 69 cents for like a 1 liter bottle. And, it's sparkling like carbonated water. And so it's like if it's open for a while, it kind of loses some of the fizzy bubble, what it's got going on, fizzy bubbles. You get me. That's one of the things that I like about you is that you get me. You know what I mean. And that guy got me too. And he was teabagging up on the stairs. So Sentinel Squire's gonna, employ some of his advanced training tactics, and he's gonna teabag back. And we've got 3 in a row right now. Look at that. We got three on the board. That's cool. And so back to what I was saying. So this key lime sparkling water, you refrigerate it and it tastes just like Sprite. And I should probably like put an asterisk next to the just like Sprite because it's like not like identical, like if you had a Sprite sitting next to it and you tasted them both, you would be like, oh yeah, this is totally the Sprite. Like this one's the soda with all the sugar in it and this one's the sparkling water. But if you haven't had one in a while, and you just drink this, like, pour yourself a cold glass of this stuff, it's really pretty freaking good. And so I'm glad that I tried something new because I think it's going to help me in my journey to eliminate soda from my diet again. Because, why would I want to drink all my calories and all my sugar when I could eat things like chocolate and candy instead, So I get more room for the things that I like. That's stupid. And so that made me think of something else. It's a new candy bar that I've tried recently, like within like the last 6 months or so. There's a candy bar out there. It's made by Cadbury, and I think they're like English chocolate maker. They're from England. I think Cadbury is even a place in England, maybe. I think so. That sounds about right. And so anyway, it's Cadbury milk chocolate fruit and nut bar, and just absolutely delicious candy bar. It's got raisins and almonds in it. And like initially, that's definitely not my cup of tea. I like just keeping it simple. I like a good old fashioned Twix or Three Musketeers maybe. Sometimes I get the Hershey's cookies and cream if I like it. And so easily would have looked at this Cadbury fruit and nut bar and been like, nah, you know what? Just not for me. Just never gonna give that a try. But again, one of those things that I am like really glad that I gave it a shot because it's probably become like one of my favorite candy bars now. I've only had it like 3 or 4 times probably, And it's not like I go out and buy a bunch of candy bars at one time to like stash and stock up or anything like that. It's like, it's like a little guilty pleasure from time to time. But who would have known? I sure wouldn't have. But again, I allowed myself to try something new, and I really enjoyed it. And I tried something that I didn't expect to like as much as I did. And that, I thought, was pretty great. It's like a really interesting and awesome and fitting metaphor for invasions in Elden Ring. Because sometimes we just got to try something new, and who knows, we might really enjoy it. When I first started, with my invasion journey, I didn't really use a shield very much, and I definitely didn't use the parry Ash of War on my shield if I did. And I've mentioned this before, so it's like getting good and using parries is something that I didn't realize that I was going to enjoy as much as I do. But it's a lot of fun, and it also adds this extra element and level of challenge to the gameplay. It's like, can I land this parry? Maybe I can, maybe I can't. I never really know, I'm just trying. But when I do land it, it's like really, it's a fun and awesome thing. Oh, this is perfectly calculated. I knew that guy was coming to get us, and he got us both. And so again, you might be saying, well, Koobs, you didn't actually kill him with that partisan that you were using with the piercing fang Ash of War, so why does that count? And I would say, because I used my big brain, my big invader brain, to lead us over that direction. That was totally calculated. I knew exactly what I was doing. And so that's why I'm going to give myself the X on the board for that one. You don't agree with it? You know what? That's tough. It's my video. It's my game. I'm playing and you're watching. So if you don't like it, then leave a comment. Tell me how much you don't like it. I would appreciate that. Any comment is a good comment, unless you say something bad and awful and mean and nasty. And then I'd probably have to remove that comment. But any other comment's a good comment. I appreciate your feedback. And so here we've got a host, and he's just standing at the site of grace. And so I knocked him around a little bit, and then I inflicted some poison with my poison bone daggers or poison bone darts, and I'm just gonna stand here and wait and watch, and we're gonna see what happens. And yeah, so this one, maybe it's not as eventful as some of the other invasions, but I've only got a couple of hours to invade on my Sunday nights. I'm not invading for a 6-hour, 8-hour session. I'm sitting down for 2.5, maybe 3 hours if I'm lucky. And I'm doing some invasions, and I'm recording some clips along the way. And look at this. Oh my goodness, he's actually there at his controller. He just drank a potion. Hey buddy, you just drank a potion, and then he just goes back to standing still doing nothing. I'm not sure what's going on there. I don't know what, maybe he just accepted defeat. Maybe he said, it's not really, I'll just spawn right here at the site of grace. But hey, look at that. We got him. And that means we've got our first bingo. Hey, look at that. We're almost halfway through the video, and we got one bingo on the board. So you know what that means? It means that now we've got to try and get a second bingo. And sometimes it doesn't always go our way. Look at that. We just jump in, and he jumps off. And so somebody's jumping, It doesn't always go our way. Of course, I don't count those invasions. Here, look at these guys. That was, I liked to, it sucks, but it happens. And at least they were, their choreography was on point. Costumes looked great. Everything about that was just like, how could I complain? Here we go. Here's another one. We got a jumper. And it's just a bummer. So, throughout the course of the evening, it's not like everything always goes my way, but we do our best. That's there's a word, I think it's in Japanese. It's ganbaru, I believe. Ganbaru. I'm probably saying that wrong. It might not even be a Japanese word. I'm pretty sure that it is though. And it means I will try my best. And that's something that I like to live by. It's just always try your best and always be yourself, because That's all that we can ever ask of ourselves, is to be ourselves. And that's all that anyone else can ever ask of you as well. So if anybody ever asks you to be more than yourself, tell them to kick rocks, you know? Tell them to stick it where the sun don't shine. Tell them to go somewhere and eat a bologna sandwich, because they don't know what they're talking about. And you continue to be you, because you're awesome. And you being yourself is what makes you so great. You know? You know what I mean? You get me. I feel like you get me. I feel like we've got this understanding here. We get each other. I appreciate you. So here we've got an invasion. I remember this one. So again, I'm blah, blah, blah. Spit it out, Koobs, you dingus. I don't have like any sort of script for these. I don't have like things written down, like a checklist of stuff that I want to talk about or say. I've got maybe a couple of ideas rattling around in this old rickety brain of mine, but beyond that, it's just, this is all just freestyling. This is off the dome. We're spitting hot fire, you know? And so these invasions happen on a Sunday evening, and then I'll make this video and I'll release it the following Sunday. And so it's been a week since I've done these invasions, you know, in real time. And so some of them I don't really remember. And as I'm seeing the little image on the screen go by as I'm talking, I can like make some comments on it. But this one I remember this one. This was a good invasion. This was one of those good invasions. You know, some invasions are just like, what was the point of that one? Or, you know, you jump in, you spawn, you automatically kill the host, or maybe they automatically die to something else, and it's like, all right, just a loading screen simulator. But this was a good invasion. We got a party of 3, and we're down here in the Eternal City. I don't know exactly what this area is called. The Ancestral Woods, maybe? Something like that. It's after the Mimic tier boss. And it looks like they're, I don't know specifically if they're trying to light all of the braziers still. But I like these areas because there's an objective for the party to be working towards. And I think that one of the things that I would like to see in the DLC that's going to be coming out whenever it releases, one of the things I would like to see is an area where the party has these sorts of objectives to achieve, like having a big kind of open area with some sort of things that they're supposed to interact with and a bunch of enemies around the area. I think that would be really cool, because this is one of my favorite places to invade. Because if the host is actually trying to complete the objective of lighting all of these little torches, then it's like you can kind of try to stop and prevent their progress. And it's not like they can just go running to the fog wall or interacting with the boss. They've got to do something first. And so it would be really kind of cool if in this sort of hypothetical scenario of this new area that we're, you know, brainstorming together. And I appreciate you helping me brainstorm while I'm, you know, I'm talking, but you're doing all the thinking. You're doing all the heavy lifting. So I appreciate that. And so this area that we're brainstorming together, if like the objective could reset somehow, or maybe it's like a boss that like respawns, like comes back to life, that would be really cool. I mean, if you think about it, like, why is the Tarnished, our player character, like the only one seemingly who continues to come back to life? If the whole idea is that the rune of death was removed so we can't die, then why don't the bosses respawn? You know, you ever think about that? Like, why don't the bosses come back, and why can't we fight them again? Why is it that after we defeat a boss that they're gone forever? I think that that's kind of fascinating. Maybe there's a lore reason to it. Maybe there isn't, but maybe there is. Who knows? And maybe there isn't. But, you know, maybe there is. I mean, there could be. And so if there was this area that has this sort of objective for the party to interact with, and then there's this boss that they can go and defeat, and then once they've defeated it, the whole thing resets, kind of like some sort of like a time loop, and then they can go back through that area and complete the objectives and then complete the boss. I think that would be really cool and overall really healthy for the game, because it would give this sort of endless replayability to the area. I'm not necessarily thinking like, I mean, they could go as far as to kind of like randomize where the objective markers are located or whatever it might be, and randomize the enemies that are in the area. Like that would be really cool, kind of so that it's like a fresh experience every time that they go through that zone. That would be really awesome. And that we'll get something like that. But you know, we can all dream, you know, we're all allowed to dream. So what else was I talking about? Kind of derailed myself on that one. Oh, this invasion, just a good invasion. And so it looks like at this point I've taken out, or maybe not even me, maybe just the enemies in this world have taken out one of the phantoms. But these two are really, they're giving me the business, that's for sure. And so I'm, you know, the whole time I'm running around this area, I've got a pretty good idea of where the enemy spawns are at. And so I'm taking them from, you know, on a little tour of the map, showing them all the cool things that I know about. And here it's like, all right, I know that there's these wolves. Have they killed the red wolf? Because if they have, I don't know if that wolf respawns. But if they haven't, then maybe that red wolf could give me a hand. So we'll see. I'm not seeing him anywhere, but I was definitely hoping for some reinforcements. At a certain point in these invasions, you know, especially going against a party that knows what they're doing, they're applying good pressure. It's like, yeah, my resources are low. But in this invasion in particular, I'm using the Serpent God's curved sword, and again, just kind of one of those things. It's like I made myself a little peanut butter and jelly sandwich and I didn't even know about it. And I just saw a little red tail on the screen over there off in the distance, and now I'm seeing some glint blades coming into play. There's my big red friend. There's my buddy. But yeah, so I made myself this little sandwich. I didn't even know. I've got this perfect combination of me using this Serpent God's curved sword, and it has this passive effect where when they kill enemies in the world, I get to heal. And I'm running around and I'm making them kill all the enemies. And so that worked out really well. So who knows, you know, maybe I'll get to win this invasion. It'd be a shame if I lost this one at this point. You know what I mean? Because at a certain point you're like invested in the invasion, and you're like, I gotta take this one home. If I don't win this invasion, I'm probably gonna turn off my game, you know? And you might be looking at the timestamp of the video like, oh, he's still got some time left, so he definitely didn't turn off his game. And so I didn't, and there we go. I got one more on the board. Oh, another thing, this is just coming to my mind. If you wanted to do some invasion bingo yourself, another thing that you could do is if you go into an invasion and let's say it doesn't go your way, then make yourself change your weapon. And that's something that I started doing through a couple of these. It's something that I didn't think about right away, but that like as I continued to invade, it was like, okay, if I lose an invasion, because I lost a couple, you know, I lose invasions sometimes. Doesn't happen often, but I'm just joking. It happens plenty. But so if I go into an invasion with a specific weapon that I'm planning on using because I want to get that square for my bingo card, if that invasion doesn't go my way, then saying to myself, all right, Koobs, you gotta change your weapon. You can't go for that square right away. Maybe be gracious with yourself, and give yourself, you know, a little bit of leniency. Maybe you just take one invasion off of that weapon. Maybe it's not that you like entirely, you know, have to do all the other weapons before you come back to it. You can fine tune that you know, equation however it works for you. But that's something that I started thinking about and started employing as I was playing. So that's, again, another thing that I think if I do this in the future that I would definitely kind of stick to is like, if I go into an invasion and I lose with a weapon, then I can't just use that weapon again for the very next invasion, because that would add another challenge to the whole thing. Maybe part of it is having like a random number generator in the mix, because that way it would be like totally random what weapon I have to use. And so it's like each weapon is assigned a number, and then I've got to use whatever weapon I roll on the number generator, or maybe I could use some dice, maybe get like a D20 out or something like that. And so each one I've got to be, you know, I got to think about, okay, I've got to use this weapon, and then if I win with it, then I get the X for the square. Who knows? All sorts of cool little fun things that you could do with this sort of concept to kind of have some fun with the game and maybe add another level of challenge. If you're going to have like a shield in your inventory, then you could do it, you know, there's a couple ways you could do that. It could be a parry. You know, you got to get a parry in order to get the square for that shield. Or it could be that you have to equip the shield and use something like a shield bash and actually like eliminate the enemy with that shield as your primary weapon. So that's a fun little cool thing you could do. You could have bows in the mix. You could have the hand ballista in the mix. You could have your staff or your seal in the mix, and you gotta get a kill with your incantations or sorceries. All kinds of fun things that you could be doing. Just mixing it up, you know, having some fun, trying something new. That's what the whole thing's about. Trying new things. And here we got these guys out in the field. They're gonna run away from me because they're like, hey, you know what? We're not going in there. That big old lion cat, we're afraid of him. Not gonna play ball. And so I just start shooting the ballista at them. Oh, funny thing that I learned very recently. For as long as I've been invading, I did not know that there was a difference between the two ballista bolts when it comes to the range. The lightning ballista bolts travel straighter and further than the exploding ballista bolts. The exploding ballista bolts, they have kind of like a drop-off, a quicker drop-off than the lightning ballista bolts do. They don't go as far, and they kind of start, their trajectory kind of starts heading down towards the ground because of gravity, of course. And yeah, so if you're like, oh man, I didn't hit that shot, and you shot your explosive bolt, then maybe alternate to the lightning bolt and see if you can get it then. And again, man, these guys are going all the way back. They're backtracking all the way back to the Deathrite bird. It's like, where's the logic here, gamers? You guys didn't want to fight those big cats that were inside, but you'll come back here and you'll fight this big old bird, big gnarly bird. It's like, I don't get it, you guys. But hey, I'm not here to judge you. I'm just here to send you back to the site of grace. So we're gonna try to get our kills, of course. We're gonna try to win this invasion, of course. And we're using the sacrificial axe on this one and calling it a W. We're calling it a W. We're calling that a win, baby, because, you know, what else could we have done? Yeah, technically, Deathrite Bird gets the square, but I'm using the sacrificial axe, and the sacrificial axe has got a Deathrite Bird on it. So pretty much, like, am I him? Are we the same? Are we the same person? I don't know. You tell me. I don't have answers. I just have questions sometimes. I've been rambling quite a bit in this one, and hopefully it sounds okay. Hopefully the audio is being picked up okay, and hopefully the things that I'm saying are somewhat coherent, and that you get me. You know, I know that you do. I know you get me. You get me. Like, we got that thing going on. We get each other. So here we got one. I'm using the Morning Star. Absolutely love this weapon. Have loved this weapon for quite a while now. For over a year now, I think. And putting the lightning slash on this weapon so that I can have as close to my good friend the Tonitrus as possible. Shout out to Bloodborne. Man, I am excited about some of the games that are coming out in these next couple of months, gamers. So Armored Core is supposed to be coming out soon. I think that there was just a story trailer that released like a day or two ago from the time of me recording this audio. And I haven't watched it yet, but I'm excited to check that out. I've never played an Armored Core game before. But aside from that, I'm excited for Lies of P. If you're excited for Lies of P and you're here right now at the 34-minute mark in this video, and you've been sticking around listening to this nonsense and watching these invasions in the background, if you're excited for Lies of P, leave a comment down below and let's talk about it. I would love to get a discussion going about Lies of P. I made a video a couple months back, probably like 2 months ago maybe, when the demo was out, and and it, you know, it got a handful of views. Not, I've been having some pretty decent views on some of the videos that I've been putting out lately, but that one wasn't one that really caught on. I was thinking that that people would want to see a little bit about the demo, maybe if they couldn't play it themselves, maybe they didn't have the time or whatever. And so I made kind of like a spoiler-free video about my experience with the demo, because in any of these games, I'm such a huge fan and such a advocate for blind playthroughs. Like, it's my personal preference. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong if you yourself are like, hey, you know what, I don't really want to do a blind playthrough. I would rather have some sort of idea of maybe if there's an important thing that I'm going to miss, or if I'm supposed to go here before there, or whatever it might be. So I'm not judging anybody for not doing blind playthroughs, but that for me is like really part of the magic of the experience with these sorts of Souls games, is going through the first playthrough completely blind and figuring things out for yourself and really kind of stumbling through the experience, because it's so, like, there's so much like joy that I get personally. It's so much satisfaction that I get from the experience of like overcoming the obstacles that are in front of me and piecing things together myself, whether they're correct or not, just giving it my best try. You know, Ganbaru, I will do my best. And so that's what one of the games that I'm really looking forward to. I'm definitely excited about Liza P. There's probably a couple of other games that are, you know, on my radar but off the radar right now. You know what I mean? They're kind of like games that if I saw another little trailer or a video for them, I'd be like, oh yeah, I totally forgot that's coming out soon. But at the moment, it's like those are two games that I can think of that I'm really excited for. I'm not on a PlayStation 5, so I haven't gotten to experience Final Fantasy 16 yet, but I've heard amazing things about that game. I've heard that that's just like the bee's knees. And like, I don't know if bees have knees, but if they do, they've got to be pretty great. You know what I mean? So I'm excited for that one. Definitely looking forward to checking that out when I do finally get my hands on a PlayStation 5. And so there's definitely some things that I am looking forward to. There's a game that just dropped. I think it's been out for a year or two. It's called Naraka Blade Point. It's kind of like a arena battle royale kind of a game. It's like third person. You pick up all sorts of weapons and stuff, and that's supposed to be. I hear it's supposed to be coming to PlayStation 4 sometime soon. But it just came out on like they just did free to play for PS5 and for the Xbox consoles, and I think maybe for PC as well. I think it's been out on PC for a while, but I think that it's been like now it's free to play as of recently. And so I'm really excited to see when that's going to make its way to PlayStation 4 so that I can check that game out, because I'm a huge fan of those sorts of games when they're done well. There was a game that came out a while ago, probably like 2 years ago now. It was called Hunter's Arena Legends or something like that. There's a video of it on this channel, and it was kind of similar to this game, Naraka Blade Point, but I don't think that it really like scratched the itch that I was looking for. And so I'm excited to check that one out as well. If you know of any free games that are coming out soon or that have released soon that maybe are not on my radar and you want to comment about them and send them my way, that would be much appreciated. So here on that last invasion, we were facing off against that wizard, and you might have seen the bingo card. The last one in the row is the shield that I've been using. So like I mentioned earlier, I've really got two options with this thing. I can either land a parry and get the kill that way, or I could equip the shield as a weapon and I could try to bash my opponents with it. But I was hoping that wizard that I just went up against was gonna try one more attack with the moon veil that he was using, and that I could parry it before he, plummeted to his death. But he was afraid of me, that's for sure. And so, you win some, you lose some. What's going to happen if I don't land a parry? You might be saying, do I still call it a win if I don't fill out the bingo card? And you know what, gamers? I would absolutely say so. I saw something the other day. It said, get to the point in your journey where going for it means more than winning or losing. And that was something that I was like, yes, dude. Didn't know I needed to hear that, but I'm glad that I heard that. And maybe if you're here right now and you're just hearing that too, maybe that's something that'll inspire you. Just go for it. Win, lose, draw, that doesn't matter. What does matter is going for it, gamers. So don't be afraid to go for it. Don't be afraid to try something new. You know? You get me. We get each other. There's this understanding there. I know you do. That's one of the things that I like about you, is that you get me. I appreciate you, gamer. Thanks so much for clicking on the video. Thank you so much for sticking around. We didn't get 2 bingos, but we got 1. And 1 bingo is good enough for me. I have been and always will be Kubz. Peace and love, gamers.